It's, quote, a new kind of credit card created by Apple. It's not a bank. Let's bring in Dan Dolev, Executive Director of Equity Research, Business Services and Payments at Instinet Nomura, and Matt Schulz, Consumer Credit Analyst at CompareCards.com. It's great to see you both. So, Matt, start with you there abroad on Skype. Give us the comparison. What are we thinking when we're hearing about this new Apple Card? Is it really something different?
It does have some differences to it, but by and large, a lot of it is just a simple credit card. And when you get right down to it, a lot of the things that move the needle with the average credit card holder are things like low interest rates and especially rewards. And while this Apple Card has a lot of technological innovations to it and does some good things, the interest rates on it are fairly typical, and the rewards are actually a little bit lacking compared to some of the other big players in there. So it's going to be a bit of an uphill struggle, I think, for this card.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, Dan, what do you think? I mean, you're an expert in this payment space. I know Square was something we talked a lot about. I mean, what's the big picture on this?
I think the big picture is Apple is basically taking credit cards and once again making them mainstream. In my view, it actually nurtures the industry and it helps all the credit card acceptors, which are the merchant acquirers, Square, the other companies that we cover, become more and more prevalent. So it actually makes the trend more prevalent. It gives more people opportunity to purchase with a credit card, and it actually is a good thing for everything that touches credit card, especially Square, which I cover.
How's this going to change my life, Matt? I mean, basically, I have my Chase, banking card, right? My Visa and my American Express. So how's my life going to change with all of these different payment spaces? I mean, what are we supposed to be doing to move in to the next years ahead?
Well, part of what this is all supposed to be driving is Apple Pay and mobile payments at large. And I know here in Austin, I've seen Apple Pay being a lot more accepted in more and more places that I go. And I actually use Apple Pay, and I think that it's a pretty easy thing to use, but people are a little squeamish about it, whether it's just that they don't like the idea of using their phone or they are still a little unsure about some of the security of it. But part of what this Apple Card push is about is getting people to be more comfortable with using Apple Pay.
Okay, so you see growth, right? You see growth here.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
No. There's no question that Apple Pay is becoming more and more common. Yeah.
Okay. And all the young folks are using it. My teenagers use it. Oh, I got Apple Pay. Don't worry, Mom, I'll pay for the cab. Dan, you've been hot on Square. Now, Square is a name that you've discussed here on our show. You had a $100 target at that time. It's lost that momentum, and I'm hearing more and more people saying that it used to have this great momentum. It's dropped down. In fact, one of the analysts compared it against PayPal and put Square at the neutral and PayPal at the buy level. It's at $65. Can you revisit what you're thinking now? Is $100 still the price target, or are you changing it up based on I don't know what?
No, sure. It's a great question. I mean, they definitely have been under some pressure recently. One of those things is that report that you mentioned, but I think there's also some inflicted issues or self-inflicted problems that they got themselves into. I think the guidance wasn't great. They could have guided better. I think that the sale of Caviar to DoorDash was misunderstood. So once all these things get cleared, I think people would actually focus on the core and the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are great. They're growing GPV in the double digits, they're growing revenues in the 45-50%, and they're really disrupting the payments industry. And just to kind of bring that thing on the Apple Card, and Square, what Square has that Apple or the Apples don't have is Square is the last mile. They sit on the one hand on the merchants and on the other hand on the consumers, and they're creating literally two ecosystems, one with the Cash App and one with the sellers. So things like Apple Pay are actually very conducive to Square in the long term, because Square is the guy that sits at the last mile, connecting to the seller, connecting to the merchant, and that's really a really powerful position to be in. So I expect the stock to recover from where it is today. It's a huge opportunity.
That's good. Thanks for explaining that. Matt, last thought. What's your favorite in the space?
My favorite in the space is probably Apple Pay, and I do think that even though it has some headwinds against it, I think that the power of the Apple brand is going to be such that a lot of people are going to come along. And in a recent survey we did, we asked people about that, and we found that the primary hotspot for people who are most likely to follow along with the Apple brand were rich millennial men. And that's an audience that most any bank or any retailer is going to want.
That's right. I get it. Thank you both. Great discussion. Dan Dolev, Executive Director of Equity Research, Business Services and Payments at Instant Nomura, and Matt Schulz, Consumer Credit Analyst at CompareCards.com. Great discussion.